Hello everybody, Amyte here, and welcome back to part 2 of making a remix with Lil Pitchy's Livin' For That. If you notice the project file, it's actually like a lot more fleshed out than what I left it at before, so I just have to give an apology because I didn't start editing the first part until I was maybe about an hour into recording the second part, and I realized that there was just so much rambling and dead space and all that I just wasn't happy with the recordings, so I'm just scrapping everything, and I'm just gonna explain what I did, and I'm not gonna pull one of those Let's Play Minecrafters where, like, on episode 1 they build their dirt hut, and then on episode 2 they have diamond tools and all that shit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play through the remix in its current state in all its entirety, and I'm gonna talk about the changes that I made between the last episode and current time, okay? So here we go. Oh, sorry, the wrong part.
I'm so fucking tired. Dream of being fired. Ay, look what I became. Ay, every day's the same. Feel so fucking basic. See the same old faces. Ay, I know that's just life. Ay, but I'm dying inside. And it isn't not a shame. Wishing we could just escape. Wishing we could just escape. Yeah, but when we out all night, do the shit we like. We living for that. We living for that. Yeah, when our song comes on and the fruits are gone, we living for that. We living for that. When we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night. Wonder where my hopes went. Fucking disappointment. Ay, on a default track. Ay, never got 'em back. Save the bad for later. Cause I made a paper. Ay, didn't turn out right. Ay, we don't care tonight. And it isn't not a shame. Wishing we could just escape. Wishing we could just escape. Yeah, but when we out all night, do the shit we like. We living for that. We living for that. Yeah, when our song comes on and the fruits are gone, we living for that. We living for that. Yeah, when we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night, do the shit we like. When we out all night. And it isn't not a shame. Wishing we could just escape. Wishing we could just escape. Yeah, yeah, we need a fucking break. And you know we'll miss these days. And you know we'll miss these days. Yeah, but when we out all night, do the shit we like. We living for that. We living for that. Yeah, when our song comes on and the fruits are gone, we living for that. We living for that. Yeah, and we out. We
Yeah, so that's what I have currently. In between sessions that I have, I like to have a notepad file or something on my phone where I listen to it at different times of the day and make notes about what I like and what I don't like and what I want my next project to be for the track, and like any amendments that I need to do and all that stuff. I made a very basic notepad file, but usually these are much more detailed, but I just wanted to do this just to show you like what the notes sort of look like. I'm gonna go through everything that I changed, but I'm gonna start with the obvious thing, which is there's a third drop now, and I was just being stupid, to be honest. I don't know why I decided to use just a portion of the acapella when the full song is clearly like there's more to it. The funny thing was that I had the idea of having the acapella hang for a bar with the yes, and I was trying to fiddle around with it and make it work and just do it quickly just so I have the structure and the skeleton of it. And then that's when it hit me that the third drop or chorus had that, and I was like, why don't I just use that? Because that's much easier than it is to try and change the structure of the track. The first drop and the second drop are very similar. I need to change something between the two. I haven't figured it out yet. That will be changed when I go through the fine details. But the third drop is double the length of the drops because it goes into the vocal chops. So I did end up finding something to do with the vocal chops that I made with the second part in the first video. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not super happy with the volume levels of the chops and everything just yet, so I'm probably gonna have to tweak it a little tiny bit and EQ it a bit more. But let's go through everything from the beginning to end. Now, when I make a track, I usually like to have a few reference tracks to take inspiration from and put into Ableton to compare EQ and loudness and stuff like that. But because of copyright reasons, I don't really want to. For this project, I'm taking inspiration from Midnight Kids' Monsters, Midnight Kids' Those Were the Days featuring Jared Lee, I believe, and Porter Robinson's Sad Machine. The funny thing is, I just finished a track for my album that uses Monster as its primary inspiration and reference, so I'm taking a lot of stuff from that track. Anyways, hi-hats were added, and I did the little velocity thing where you accent on beat 1 and lower the velocity on beats 2 and 4 and stuff like that. So without the drums, it sounds like this. So you can sort of hear the ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. In fact, I'm not really happy about how loud the third hi-hat sounds, so I'm gonna lower it just a little bit more so we could get that, and then I'll just fix it by copy and pasting all of that. In the second drop though, these hi-hats are in double time, so that way that gives it a little bit of variation between the two drops, but I can't just do subtle changes. I also have to do somewhat of a noticeable change, but the little stuff gets added up eventually. When I reviewed the track after I was done recording and working on it a little bit more, I found that these two snares together just didn't really work well because they just gave a weird crunch that I didn't like it. It almost sounded like it was phasing too. You could hear it a little bit if let me solo these. I originally didn't hear it because I'm using my M50Xs, and it sort of sounded pleasant with the headphones, but at the same time I knew something was up. I just didn't know it until I turned on my monitors and played it on my phone. And that means the layering on the snare is just bad. And I have a rule with choosing samples that work with a track is that if I have to do more than like 3 extreme things to make it work, then the sample is just not good, and I just need to find a better sample. And I've played around with hours and hours and hours on sample selection with snares and claps and all that stuff, and I just ended up not finding one that I liked that layered with this snare, so I just got rid of it. The MIDI here shows it, but I didn't change it here yet because I wanted to demonstrate it, so I'm just gonna delete it right here now. More discussions about drums, yeah! Over here on the verse, I have a completely different kick and snare because the intensity of the drop drums just don't match something as soft as the verse. And this was something I wish I learned way earlier in my producing career. And like how much have I earned? Like $20 at best, maybe a couple hundred if I count my commissions. Is not that much, really. I've been composing and producing for years now, and I haven't gotten like any big break yet. I really got to step up with that. For the verse, I've selected these drums. So this is a somatics kick, and then this is a clap, and then this is also another clap that's layered on top. So when you play them together, so the layering on it is alright. I probably have to adjust it a tiny little bit, but again, I like to worry about the details later. None of these have any crazy effects. It's all just compression and EQ. Because the kick and the clap are lighter, I usually like to have a lighter sidechain when I do the verse. So I actually have a second LFO tool that the external instrument is routed. By the way, if you don't know how I'm doing my sidechain, I'm using an external instrument and I'm using the MIDI to send it into LFO tool because you can actually trigger LFO tool through MIDI. And so I have two different sidechains. I have this for the verse, and then I have this for the drop. So you can see the drop is a little bit more sidechained in volume, and then the verse is lighter in that regard. I don't know how to automate the routing, and like I'm afraid to. I know you can do some automation or like CC with the LFO routing, but I'm like a little bit afraid of doing it, and I want to spend a bit of time just exploring it and figuring that out, and I haven't actually had the time to do that yet, so I'm just using two LFO tools for the time being. Oh, I should show the effect chain for my kick and snare and the drop. So again, nothing has changed. It's just a little bits of tweaks here and there. This is my EQ for the kick, and then for my snare, I had to compensate it because it did transpose it with high EQ over here, and then a little bit of compression, and then I shaped it a little tiny bit with Transient Master. I ended up keeping both temporary drums for the drop, and I don't know if I should feel ashamed or lucky. This snare specifically is actually so nice because it has such a long length of volume of loudness, so it's perceived much louder than everything else. And it was actually so good that it started to be a problem, which is why I tried to shape it a little bit. I better move quick, otherwise I'd be talking about what I did and not what we're doing in this video. Anyways, this is a shaker sample, and I just cut off a bunch of the frequencies up here. I don't even think it actually affects it, but just in case, you know. And then I added a shimmer to it. And then I also layered it with another shaker for the drop, so you can hear a little bit more of it. So this is what it sounds like. This is actually a sample I downloaded off of YouTube. So you can really just find anything you want on the internet and just use it. It's fun. Why not? And if you layer it, this is what it sounds like. So it's kind of nice. Here's my crash for the drums. It's nothing special really. It's just two cymbals with their high ends raised and layered together. They sound pretty decent. And so here's the one of them. And here's the other one. I like the transient of this sample, and I like the body of this sample. So I wanted to combine the two to make a pretty decent snare. I think it could use a boost in mid-range, but I'm not sure yet. I'll think about it when I get there. And then these are just risers, white noise risers as well. These are just from the Ultimate Fills and Drops pack. And then Blisco? What's Blisco? I think it's a free pack I downloaded or something. I did make an extra track for a tonal riser. I do want some sort of riser that has a tonal, like, ink rise, like do. I sound like an idiot there, but I think it would add more to the drop. Quick thing going back into the drums though, I did show the automation on the transposition of the snare, so it sounds the build-up sounds a little bit cooler, I suppose, for lack of a better word. But there is one thing I also want to add, and that's a high pass here. And what I want to do is I actually want to just ever so slightly high pass the snare, so it adds a little bit more to the build up. And I think I'll just do maybe 240-ish. And we'll just, let's see. I think we could do a bit more. Oh, I see the problem. Ha! Well, this is why you check your chains. Okay, so let's see what it sounds like now. Okay, so that is a bit too high now. So, full body. I think it could go a little bit higher. So I just want it to lose a little bit of its beefiness to help with the drops. That's alright. Maybe I'll bump it down like, I don't know, 40 hertz or something. And then I'll just copy and paste this over to the second chorus, which is right here. Right? Oh, right here. I will worry about this later. That's the theme, by the way, for me producing, is just procrastination. Okay, in the verse I made a new saw patch. It's really not that complicated, but it's a different patch just because I had a bunch of other stuff I wanted to control, and I usually just want to keep the drop and the verse separate unless I can use the same patch for both. And this patch is just slightly different from this. Don't mind me, my brain just likes to do stupid stuff and I'm dumb enough to just allow it to happen. The filter on this is being controlled by this macro, so I just have it swell during this part. Just to not make it too bland. Yeah, that's the thing actually. I think in the last video, I copied and pasted this over to the verse just as a temporary placeholder. And then I played around with the chords a little bit and I liked this little... So that's in the verse now. The sort of exciting thing I'd like to show off is the stacking on the superstall. Now I have this in a subgroup because I'm just not good enough to individually handle each patch, and I just need some togetherness to get the whole thing together. I'm gonna go through the mid-range saws first. This is basically what it sounds like, and again, a bit of compression. Oh, I don't have distortion on this one. Actually, that makes sense. This is my EQ, and I added a little bit of shimmer, and then this is what it looks like, sorry. Nothing that particularly special, and then here's my high saws, which is very similar, except it's a little bit more detuned. Same chain, except no camel crushing, because I don't need the beefiness in the high end. I just need it as like a sprinkle on top. So I just took out all this low end here, so I don't have random frequencies starting to stack for no reason. And then I added a little bit of wider. I know you're not really supposed to use widening plugins and stuff like that, but I just threw in a little bit of it for fun, and then some shimmer. And then this is the low saw. And it's not as... I think I want to saturate this a little bit more. I'm not sure just yet, but this is what it looks like. And because it's the low end, I decided to make it less detuned. So in order from low to high, it's like less detuned, kind of detuned, and more detuned. This does have the distortion turned on the Camel Crusher because I like it how it sounds. So without it, it sounds like this. And then with it sounds like that. So it gives a little bit of gritty. And then this is the EQ to boost a little bit of the mid and low, and then remove the high because the other parts are taking care of it. And then in the subgroup, I threw in like one more OTT just a little bit, and then I EQ'd it slightly, and then I have a filter to control the automation for all three. And then the white noise is just sitting here looking pretty. Bass. I don't know how much of it I showed last time, so I'm just going to quickly go over it. This is the patch I use. This is a really simple saw bass, except I used the DigiCook wavetable to layer on top of it. Without it, the saw bass sounds like this. And then with it, it sounds like this. Well, maybe if I had the filter completely off, you could hear the difference. So without it, and then with it. And this is my chain, and I'll show the EQ as well. Here's my sub bass. I saturated it a little bit to give it a bit more beef. And then I took out basically everything from the mid-range to the high end. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do it, but it just sounded better at the moment. So if I play it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to use my monitors when I get the chance. Oh my god, finally, to the vocals. I'm so sorry. I really should have edited the video first before moving on this further, but when you're working on music, you don't really get to decide what goes on first and what goes on later. With the timing issue discovered on the first part, I went into every single part of the vocal and I just made sure everything aligned itself. That's where all these cuts are from, and it's layered with a lower octave and a higher octave. It doesn't sound the cleanest, as it says right here. That Little Altar Boy is a monophonic voice manipulation, so it's much better for true acapellas where it's just one voice. But since this is what I have to work with, I'm just gonna have to do my best to try and clean that up with EQ and stuff later. Onwards to the drop, I don't know exactly how I want to arrange this, but I have the first chop. Actually, one thing I do want to talk about is this syllable, the like. When I made this chop, I had to stretch this out a little bit using Ableton. And originally, how I stretched it a little bit too far, so it sounded really funny. La. So I tried to push it in as close as possible to fix the vowel sound, so it's a little bit more I sound. And I did that with every single part. But I have the second part of the vocal chop that I made. I have it layered on top now, so together it sounds like a little bit of a counterpoint, sorry. You can barely hear it, but I'll probably figure out how to make it a little bit more cleaner. And then this is the lower octave layer, so it's just the original acapella, just with the same cuts. And that's about it, really. That's pretty much the whole project so far explained. Sorry it took a while, and sorry about that. Anyways, today I want to work on the verse a little bit more, because currently it just sounds so bland. I'm so fucking tired. Oh, I completely forgot about this. This is a preset from a Virtual Riot pack I got, and it's just playing an ARP of the chords. I personally, as a classical musician, like to write my arpeggios note by note. It's just sometimes with arpeggio programming that there's like 1 or 2 notes you want to change, and like you can't because it's part of the program. So what I do is, like, if I use an ARP preset or something like that, or if I make an ARP, if I don't write the actual notes on the first time and I use an arpeggiator instead, I just write down the notes on a new MIDI piece and then change any notes I want and then replace the arpeggiator with the actual notes. And the automation on this is kind of silly. I basically just wanted as much automation as possible, so I just automated every single macro on the patch here along with the decay, just to, you know, I don't know, just because, really. The verse though, it sounds dry. It doesn't sound exciting. It's just a pad and a light ARP with the acapella. I need to make it a little bit more interesting. How am I gonna do that? I don't have any material to base it on. Do I have to write original stuff? No. Because this is a remix, what we can do is we can listen to the original and try and reference some musical ideas from it and make it our own. Now, if we listen to the original, do you hear that? There's a little pluck as it goes da 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 or whatever, da 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 or whatever. What we could totally do is we could take the notes from that and just add it. And I already figured the notes ahead of time because I didn't want to use the recording time to do it. So this is roughly what it is. I'm gonna move it here to double check though. Yeah, at the moment this is on a piano, and I don't want that. This also has a little bit of timing issue, so let's just make the MIDI stretched out so that we could hear the entire duration. And we could also edit it so it's our own, but this is going to be the basic idea of it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new track, and I'm going to find a either similar sounding pluck or make my own pluck that uses this MIDI. I think we'll start with Serum just because I've downloaded all these new presets just to see what they sound like. And let's find, let's start with the cymatics pack. So I will be right back.
And it is not a shame. Wishing we could just escape.
I kind of like it. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna duplicate it, turn this off, and I'll just save that. And I'm gonna keep looking at other samples. Ooh. Oh, this one's actually kind of similar. I actually, when I was listening to it, I kind of figured it was a sine pluck, and I thought I was gonna make my own of because I wasn't gonna find something that I liked, but this sort of worked, and I managed to, you know, go through my presets. So win-win, I guess. First thing I noticed, I'm not really a fan of the high end, so I'm going to just edit that a little bit. I'm just gonna throw in an auto filter. Yeah, we don't need too much high end from both of these patches. We'll put these on the verse, but I don't like the timing of these notes, and this is why it's gonna be fun to mess around with this. I think what I'll do is I'll make this into a chord. I'm not sure what the chord is though. Yeah, maybe something like that. Oh, and we'll make this chord roll so it sounds a little bit more sparkly. Yeah.
I'm so fucking tired. Dream of being fired. Ay, look what I became. Ay, every day.
Oh, no. We could totally
I'm so fucking tired.
do that.
Dream of being fired. Ay, look what I became. Ay, every day's the
Yeah,
same.
I like that timing more. Now there's counterpoint in the verse, and now that makes it a lot more interesting. But I gotta make the sound right. Sounds like the beginning of a melodic dubstep track. In this patch, I gotta figure out what's making all those like high-end stuff because I can't tell where it's coming from. Distortion? From where though? Where's this? Effects? Oh, distortion drive. Oh! Okay, so maybe if I lower this down. Yeah, that's a bit better.
So fucking basic. See the same old faces.
That adds quite a good amount of stuff into the verse. And in fact, I think it's the perfect amount of stuff that makes the verse interesting enough and not sound empty. So an ARP and the counterpoint melody type of thing that was in the intro. So I guess thanks Rumi for letting me steal, get inspired by your original track.
It's not a shame. Wishing we could just escape. Wishing we could just escape. Yeah, but when we out all night.
Yeah, there we go. So now we have something that actually fills up the verses, the bridges, and the chorus so that it doesn't sound just like pads and drums and a vocal. It's a little bit more interesting now. Later on, I'm probably gonna go sample searching and maybe add like a couple ambient noises and little melodic licks and stuff like that. But I think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do for the verse now, and the bridge, and the chorus. I have something exciting to share with you guys. After fiddling it for many hours, I think I got something, but there is some stuff that I don't like, and I'm going to explain it. But this is what it looks like now. This is the plucks and all the counterpoint that I put up with different patches, and I'll go through each of them just to show you. So this is the sign pluck preset that I picked from the WA Productions. I think it's called What About Productions, right? Something like that. Down here, this is the same preset except 1 octave lower in MIDI, and just the automation I think is a little bit different with a couple things. And then over here, I have a regular piano. Actually, I couldn't figure out what to do, so it's a piano now. And then over here, this is a pluck preset from Serum. Sounds like this. I was trying to look for a bunch of mellow sounding plucks here and there that I could use, and let me just play what it sounds like first and then I'll talk, okay? So here's what it sounds like now.
I'm so fucking tired. Dream of being fired. Ay, look what I became. Ay, every day's the same, yeah. But when we out all night, do the shit we like. We living for that. We living for that, yeah. When the sun comes on and the fruits are gone, we living for that. We living for that.
I think it sounds pretty cool. However, there's such a weird contrast between the build-up and the drop now, because the plucks are giving such a nice high-end sound, and then when I get to the drop, it sort of just removes it all. So I don't know what to do to figure the balance between it out. I was thinking what I could do is just maybe just have like a filter in a subgroup and just have it maybe like just, I don't know, go from here and lower it so that we don't hear the high end near the end. I mean, yeah, kinda, sorta, not really. Now the piano MIDI's just sounding too loud. I gotta lower the velocities now. Now I think there's like way too many instruments, so maybe I'll get rid of the piano this time. Maybe just for the bridge we'll have the piano, and that's it. And the beginning of verse 2. I don't like subgrouping too many things just because I feel like that just makes the workflow a bit messy, or just it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I mean, I do not know what I'm doing, but if I can't remove the high end on the verse, I want to add some high end or something in the drop to make it sound more full. Let's be honest, it's just pads and vocal chops. There's nothing else. I need to add something. So I loaded up a Serum. It's just on a init patch. And maybe we can play something to counter the melody of the vocal chops. I don't know. I don't know. Although maybe we can add like these random ARP sounding things. Maybe we'll just make a wobble sounding I don't know, sound. I'm just messing around, man. I gotta figure out what I want to do with it. Kind of make it like a cooker bass maybe. Well, this may not even be a good sound. It's just a saw wave after all. Maybe we'll find a lead or something. Hey, I kind of like that one. I will keep that in mind. Hey, this is alright. I kind of want it more Porter sounding. How can I do that? Maybe up the decay? Wait, I do have the language patch on massive. I wonder... Language. Too loud. Too loud. Way too loud. Yeah, I figured. It's too much like the saw pad to stand out from the super saws. Maybe I will go with the ASOT preset. I mean, it could work. But it has to be really, really subtle. And I don't think I need to change the notes any much because these 4 notes really work with all the chords. Let me check. Yeah, so we'll just keep him. Nope, that's way too slow. Faster. Yeah. Doom. Can we go even faster? Ooh. Oh, that sounds so cool. I wonder... That's too funny. I'm curious a little bit. Let's see if I go in the second drop. Let's see. Hey, I think it could work, but I'm gonna keep it to maybe this speed. Yeah, it adds to the chord, adds a bit of the high end, but doesn't really like stand out too much. And I think what would help is if I also got rid of the first one. Bum, down, 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 boom, bam, bam, boom. So we'll have that rhythm going on. Sorry, undo all of that, and then copy, paste this. It's sort of there. I just don't want maybe the last one. Yeah.
Wonder where my hopes went. Fucking disappointment.
Let's clean this up a little bit because I know there's going to be a lot of low end in this patch probably. Oh, no. Did a pretty good job, but I'm still gonna cut here because I don't need to add unnecessary frequencies from this. And why the hell not boost the high end a little bit. Alright, so without the ARP. And with the ARP. Yeah, you know what? It's not much, but it does add to it ever so slightly. Okay, and since we made... What was the ending to the original?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? That's lame. We gotta have a callback to something. Maybe let's call back the intro. So we'll just copy and paste this. Oh, maybe just the last bit here. Yeah. I think I'll start the ARP a little bit quieter, and then I'll have it fade in. We'll add a bit of the bridge here. Well, I think I've added a good amount of stuff. Now it's time to start trying to take away a few things, because I'm starting to feel like the verse is actually getting a lot more than the drop. So I have to figure out how that will work. Let's see here. I'm just gonna check some volumes. -8. What about the build up? And up to here. -7. And then -5. I think I can end it here, and the next step, and probably the final step, is just to do all the tightening up, tidying up, making the ending as well, bouncing all of the stuff and mixing it. So that will, yeah, we'll end it. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback on these videos, let me know. This is my first time doing this ever, and I know I'm not that great of a producer, so if you have any tips for me in general, that'd be great. I'm always down to learn, but for now, I think this is gonna be it. So thank you for watching again, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye bye. Oh my god, I forgot about the riser. Now as I'm hearing this last drop, I don't think the hi-hats are loud enough, so I'm gonna not beef them up, but make them a bit louder. Okay, maybe I actually do still need to add a couple more things. I'll be right back. Okay, I lied and I added one more thing to the drops because I wanted something to be added, so I added this little random lead here. It's very, very faint, but it adds to it, I feels like. You can barely hear it, which is what I need, because I want the focus to be the vocal chops and everything. The ARP and this lead should be in the background, and the reason why I added this was because of bridge 3 and because I wanted a little bit more notes happening. I also threw in a bunch of automation for the arpeggio because having the same thing play over and over again is boring. Like I said, you can barely hear any of the ARP or the lead as well. And maybe for the ending, we'll make this into like some sort of perfect cadence. Maybe something like this. I don't know, I'll figure it out later. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thanks, bye.